All right, we are recording. All right, thank you for joining. I am Marcus K, other known as Young Morpheus K. This is what I've been thinking. This is my first panel that I'm having with young Black leaders to get their thoughts, opinions, and share them with you guys so that we can talk about all the hot topics that are going on within politics and especially dealing with the Black community specifically. I talk about politics and a bunch of other things. And Blue, who's down here in the bottom corner up under me, is my co-host from our show, The Political Mason, which we will be working on shortly. So keep an eye out for that. And what I've been thinking is just my normal political channel, but in this one specifically, I want to have a regular meeting where we're able to talk about different things. And I want you guys to feed in questions to all of us that we can get back to you on future panels and things like that. I want to make this a regular occurrence. I have to check with my panelists to see how their availability works. Hopefully, I can get them all back. But I want to do this at least at a minimum um, twice a month. But preferably, I would love to do this, every week, get together. And then as we get a little further along, we'll bring in other panelists to join us and, start to bring up the topics that they might want to feed in on. And so without further ado, um, oh, hold on. Sorry. The topic that we're going to be talking about today, it's going to be a nice and wide-ranging topic. It's going to be no holds barred. Our panelists completely are speaking their mind, and this is the voice of young Black America, which you guys need to be listening to. These point of views represent a wide variety. So this topic that we're going to be talking about is Juneteenth. We're going to be talking about Donald Trump and his what do we want to campaign rallies is what he's calling them. I call them hate rallies. We're going to be talking about he's having one next weekend, actually on Juneteenth in Tulsa, Oklahoma, which personally really bothers me because my grandparents were born into the ruins of that same area in Tulsa, Oklahoma, and I can't remember the other one, but they grew up roughly 15 minutes from Tulsa and the aftermath of it. Also, the other place he's having his next rally will be in Jacksonville, Florida. So those of you guys who are not familiar with that, that's where it was Axe Handle Sunday. For peaceful protest, the KKK in that area decided to go in and attack the black protesters who were sitting in. So that's going to be the topics I'm going to talk about. I'm not going to do it as an ask the question like an interviewer. We're just going to have a conversation. And so I will lead it off to Sade, introduce yourself and, uh, let the people know.
Okay, my full name is Fola Sade Adejuma, but you can call me Sade. It's just like the singer, like I said earlier before he came in. Right now, I'm a stay at home mom, with kids, but I used to be an educator. And my husband is in the military. He's a retired military personnel. So that's my life. Probably I've been all over the world. I've been to Asia, Europe. I know the different kind of distance ideas. I've come across a lot of people from different backgrounds, and those things have really shaped my thoughts. And that's one of the things that moved me into the progressive ideals. So here I am, and okay, my handler is on Twitter. I'm on Twitter as Folashade Adejuma. Follow me. I'm sorry guys, I know we are all real here. I don't have time for bullshit. I don't. I really don't.
All right. And I'm sorry, I'm gonna butcher it. It's Hirut. Was that correct?
Hey Roots.
Root Techlu is my name. I'm a community organizer in New York City. I've done I've also done campaigns for Democratic Pro. My Twitter is my first name with 3 X's at the end. And I hope to continue to do community work. I haven't really been doing it because of the quarantine, but hopefully I will do the work.
Blue. Now, me and you, we've done a little bit of talking about different things. I would like you to kind of introduce the audience, let them know some of the stuff that you've been writing and working on, some of your recent interviews, so they get a feel for you before we get into this topic.
Okay. I've only been really writing about, of course, my experience of being Black and autistic. I haven't been writing very long. I think I've only been writing since about December or December of last year, January this year. So I haven't been writing very long. I've done workshops and stuff like that on the Black doing autism advocacy work, and I've just recently started to try to stream online and do podcasting work. The majority of my writing recently has been over the let's see, I just sent one in. It had something to do with abolishing the police, and then I think the previous one before that was how I felt when George Floyd got murdered. And then the similarities that I've seen, of course, when numerous Black people get murdered, that's usually what I've been writing about. And I've been writing for a collective called Neuroplastic. And I don't remember I know Marcus will give out the
Hey, Blue,
link.
hold on one second. Hey, can everybody mute their mic while each other is speaking?
Wait, so you want me to mute while I'm talking, or?
No, I want you to keep speaking. And then we
Okay.
will mute, and then when you hand it off to each other, we will unmute.
Okay. That's fine. I don't have the link's title like on me specifically, and it's not on my site either. It's something I need to change, but I'm trying to write, like, in the wake of the protests, I'm trying to write at least one article a week. And I guess dealing with the experience, I've just had a little trouble doing that, but I usually try to crank out one article a week. It's a work in progress and it's trial and error, but hopefully I can get more out there and explain my experience, because I want to showcase my opinion. By the way, I did not realize that all of you were going to put out like your full name. If I had known all of you were going to put out like your full name, I would have put out my full name as well. I would not have put my Twitter tag in the corner there. So that's it.
It's all good. It's all good, Blue. All right, let's get this discussion started. Now, I will do a little speedy history take about what Juneteenth is for those who don't know. Now, after the Emancipation Proclamation, slavery was not ended in all states. It was a handful of states, well, 2 or 3 states actually kept slavery in place, but Texas in particular ignored their governor's law. The governor put it out. Slavery was abolished. Um, at that time, a lot of the slaves were starting to have more and more open slave results, runaways, and things like that happening. Well, 2 years after the Emancipation Proclamation, that's when the governor came in and actually told them, not governor, but when the colonel came in and told them that, hey, slavery is over, you can't do this anymore. So that was the end of slavery in a sense. Hold on one second. I have to. After
Yeah.
that colonel came in, the colonel came in from the army and told them, "Hey, slavery is over. You cannot do this anymore." And that was the actual end of slavery, and which started Juneteenth. And at the time earlier, it was called Jubilee. Um, they used to all the African community, well, former freed slaves would celebrate, and that would be their own personal basic like 4th of July, their own independence. And it went on for many, many years. In certain parts of the country, it is still carried on. It's kind of gained in popularity recently, and it's kind of always went up and down in popularity or people engaged. Most of that I feel is due to our educational system or lack thereof, which do not educate us about these very important issues that not only as Black people we should know, as Americans we should know. So uh, I guess, Sade, since you are in Texas in particular, how are your feelings on President Trump deciding to, you know, have have a rally on Juneteenth just in general?
Am I supposed to start with Trump? You know what?
Yep, yep. I'm giving you Trump right off the bat.
You know, I don't know what to say. When you're on Twitter, people be like, when you're talking about progressive, I don't mean to go that route, but I have to go that route to bring it up. When you're talking about progressive agenda or you criticizing Biden in any form, then people start talking about why not Trump. To me, it's like somebody and you know where the person is coming from and you're used to them. You know whom they are as a person. So I'm not really surprised by anything that Trump puts out there. I don't. Matter of fact, I'm numb to Trump. I don't care what Trump does, what Trump says. Now, I care if the impact is going to have on me, my community. I do. But I don't care about Trump. I know who Trump is. I know what Trump can do. I know Trump is a racist. I know he's a misogynist. He's all that. He's evil. I can go on and on and on about Trump. But do I have to waste my time on him though?
Mm-hmm.
That's my feelings with Trump. Do I need to waste my time on this uneducated bastard?
Exactly.
Why do I have to waste my time when I know exactly where he's coming from? There's nothing. I mean, there's nothing we can do as progressives to change Trump. We can talk about Trump from today till the next day, and Trump will still be Trump.
Yeah,
the Democrats are not fighting him. So, I mean, the Democrat they hand him everything he needs. So, what? I mean,
yeah, I'm sorry I had to throw that. I'm sorry I had to throw that question at you. I'm sorry I had to throw that question at you, and it's just because some of the interactions which I've gotten mostly from older black voters online, whenever I criticize anything that is a problem within the system, which, if you go from slavery into Jim Crow, and you go through up into the civil rights, struggles, a lot of these things have not changed. And the Democratic Party, though it just changed its names and stripes a bunch of different times, it is still that governing body who is supposed to be on our side who is not. So my mindset is, should I keep fighting the battle with somebody who has no interest in helping me, or should I go for the people who are at least pretending that they say they're on my side? I mean, I'll let any of you guys jump in there, however you feel. I mean, treat it like a barbershop. Let's all just talk.
I'd like to
Okay.
jump in on that.
Yeah.
Because the sickness is kind of ingrained in the system. Like Trump having his rally on Juneteenth isn't really a surprise. I mean, the Republican Party since the civil rights movement has gotten their base from people that felt neglected by the Democratic Party. After the Democratic Party helped to pass the Civil Rights Act and the Voting Rights Act, Nixon did the Southern strategy in order to bring those people into the Republican Party. So their entire base is based off of bringing in racists who didn't want to be part of the Democratic Party. And even like if you think about people like Reagan, who when he started his first presidential campaign, he started in Philadelphia, Mississippi, where civil rights activists were murdered for trying to get Black people registered to vote. So it's just like it's a continuation of what's been happening. And the Democratic Party is no worse. Like Joe Biden wrote the prison reform bill that is now jailing Black people. So it's just like, why do any of them really deserve the Black vote? Democrats just assume they're going to get it, so they'll act in any way, and they'll do whatever. They don't care because it's an assumption for them because Black people don't want to vote for Republicans. Because
I'm so glad you brought that up.
So
glad you brought that up.
We can
because
talk about Trump, but like, yeah.
See, I had the same conversation with my mother, and I brought up the crime bill. And you want to know the response which I got back, and the response I continue to get back from older Black voters. This was her response.
It was a long time.
It was a long time ago. It was a long time ago, so it doesn't matter.
That's terrible.
The other one is, which this one is almost, well, I get three. That's the first category. The second category I get is, well, things were bad, so we needed police out there, and I mean, we were scared, so we needed the police to come in, so we kind of asked for this. So we can't really fault Biden because Biden was doing what we wanted him to do.
Can I get in on that and make a quick
Here, let me finish that last point, and then I'll let you take it from there. Then the third one that I get is, well, y'all out there breaking the law, and y'all doing all that crime, and y'all are selling drugs and all that. So y'all are the reason why it's like this. Y'all are the reason why the police treat us this way because of y'all behavior. So I hear those three perspectives when I try to push back, especially on the crime bill. And there, you can go back to the one in the gun law that he did in '86, which opened up loopholes and all kind of other things. And I mean, it's just a litany of things. But I'll go. Sade, what were you gonna say?
No, let him go. Let him go. I'll take it later. Go ahead. Let Maverick go.
Emmanuel, you can just call me
Manny.
Okay. Emmanuel, Manny, whichever one works for you.
Okay.
You know, hearing that Trump was going to pull that, it just kind of seemed like more of a stunt than like anything else. It just kind of seemed like a stunt that he was trying, you know, to ultimately pull to get the maximum effect, the maximum amount of anger, the maximum amount of people to get upset and enraged and riled up. And I think that's I think he appeals to that. I think that's what his broader base covers. That he like whichever side he's on, he wants you to be ticked off at him because then you don't have to worry about the system that allows him to thrive in place. So I do speak politically, but I guess I didn't realize it, but I rarely talk about him because I see Trump as an agitator. I see him as someone who plays for the crowd and, does like all these unconventional wild things to get the maximum effect to tick people off. And then in regards to like what Marcus was saying in the response with like Biden, like the crime bill was a long time ago and they asked for cops, and I'm just like, if people could have traded off like having less cops and more money into infrastructure and more money in education and more money into like helping the area, they would have easily taken that over the police. And even like recently, I'm not sure, but at some point, this was recent. This had to have been within the last 8 years. Biden rounded up, I think it was like $1 billion or something for cops. I'm just like,
300.
Yeah, 300 million for cops. I mean, that kind of loyalty, that kind of past loyalty. Cops got a long memory about stuff like that. I'm just, we're coming close to that. We're coming close to that point where we're making excuses and we're painting Trump as a bad guy, and we're painting Biden as a savior. And I'm just like, he's gonna save somebody. It just doesn't feel like he's going to save the people. So that's really how I'm about it.
I mean, and that's part of why I don't like to talk about Trump that much myself, because I feel it's pointless for us to talk about Trump. I feel the only way it's actually a point for us to actually talk about Trump, sorry, I'll take that back, what I just said, is because other people have deemed that Trump is important and they want to hear it. So the only reason why I say we need to talk about Trump in the way we're talking about him, like that Trump is irrelevant, basically.
Yeah.
You shouldn't be looking to Trump for anything. So whether you're asking for Trump to do another First Step Act, or whether you want Trump to just go away, or you want to yell at him or tweet at him, just ignore him. There's nothing anybody that's left of a moderate Republican can say to him that's going to make a difference. So I don't get why so many of our people, or just people on the left in general, or that are not part of MAGA, that hate Trump, why they spend so much time on Trump. Focus on the issues which he's dealing with. Why I don't worry about Trump nearly as much, and the reason why I'm not nearly as concerned if Trump gets a second term, I know that's not popular, but how I see Trump is like the bad little kid who is ignorant of everything that he has around him. And he's going to run around, he's going to break some stuff, but he doesn't know well enough what to do with the power and all the things that are around him. Joe Biden, on the other hand, and the people around Joe Biden, they know what to do with that power. They know exactly what to do with that power.
They've got history.
Yeah, they're not going to go in there and, figure this out and do laws that are going to get shot down instantly because they're not constitutional. They're going to know every nook and cranny of all the loopholes, and they're going to sugar all the nice, pretty crap over the top for us. And then we're like, this one is whatever. Name a Thurgood Marshall plan or whatever. Name a black leader, slap a name on it, throw a couple of halfway decent policies, let it affect maybe 50,000 black people, and then that's enough. And then the cameras and the newspapers are right about how Joe Biden outreached the black community and how great he was. And in 4 years, they'll be able to say, this is what I did for the black community, when he literally did nothing. In fact, he did worse than nothing, because this is how I look at it. When you put in these predatory capitalists, they prey on what old philosophers used to call the muck seal. Every society has to have a muck seal, and what the muck seal, for the viewers who don't know what that is that is an underclass. You have to have an oppressed society, be it through slavery, be it through poverty, be it through whatever, through religion, wars, or this. They have a area of land which is not fertile for them to grow on, or they're not able to produce things for themselves. Whenever you have those people marginalized, you will continuously have exploitation that will always go straight to the top. And as long as we are looked at, and here's one thing which a lot of black people, well, a lot of black people know this, but a lot of white people who try to talk about slavery, and they try to say, well, everybody had slavery, every culture had slavery. That is true. But the difference between the slave trades and how it happened in America is the actual Roman Catholic Church actually denoted that black people are the only people that can be enslaved. Well, they weren't considered people. They were considered a lower standard. So it's not evil for you to enslave anybody from the African continent. And they banned it from white slavery. That's the reason why you had what they called indentured servants. That's the reason why that's the reason why England took most of their prisoners and dumped them off in Australia, because they couldn't do slavery. So that's that's just some of the things which I don't feel people are focusing on when they really think about, say, a Joe Biden and all the things which have led up to what he does, what he represents, the ilk that are around him, this whole system that they're working on, perpetrating against all of us. I mean, primarily us. I mean, I was reading something the other day, and it was talking about what they call 400 years of white trash. And it explained kind of the soft power control which they were doing versus the hard control which they were doing on us. While they were separating us, while they were beating us, while they were doing all of those things during slavery, what they were doing to the white muckskill is they were levying fines on them. They were saying, you can't live in this area. It also goes into how trailer parks rose up, because that was where the poor whites were supposed to stay. So they had gotten so sophisticated in this plan that we have a lower class of black, and then we have a lower class of white that's slightly above them. And so what they did is they used them to leverage against that black population, so they didn't have to do it and get their hands dirty themselves, which led on to what we have with policing and all this stuff to Joe Biden. I'll let you guys, I know, I'm sorry I went on a little rant there, but
it's good.
That's it's all connected, and I just want people to start seeing these things as connected. As far as on the Trump thing, part of me was kind of confused more than anything. My initial reaction was to get angry, and then I was like, is he so ignorant that he believes that maybe he can go there and do a little black pandering instead and get some black votes? Because I look at how things have went for Trump over the last week. It's been pretty rough on him politically. And so he might be just trying to do a little walk back, to get in good graces. I don't know, I could be completely wrong. I just look at, he's not a smart man. And he has a bunch of arrogant, stupid people around him. And so no telling what the motivation is for some of the things they do.
What I would, when it comes to Trump, there's something I want to say. A lot of people think Trump is stupid.
I don't think. Yeah.
Stupid is what Trump is not. He's ignorant, that's sure, but he knows how to play to his base.
That's right.
This is not Trump just throwing something out there or trying to see reaction. He has thought about it. He know what he's doing. He was trying to throw red meat to his base. At the end of the day, Republicans gonna come together and vote for Trump. I don't care what nobody says. These people are whom they are. They are racist. We need to get that through our skulls. The Republican Party is a racist party, as it is right now. And they will use every method to get out their vote. And Trump is doing excellent in that. Now, would the moderate Republicans come to our aid, come to the Democratic aid, like the Democrats are wishing for? I hope so. But so far, it has never happened. The Democrats try to play to the Republicans and follow try to catch up with Republicans. And that's my disdain with the Democratic Party. Why don't you stand for issues, progressive ideas, and fight for it like the Republicans fight for their own agenda? Why do you have to follow Republicans around? I've never seen a party that treats its base, the progressives, like trash in my life. The Democrat ignores their base and try to fight for the Karens. Now, I'm putting this out here right now. I don't know if it will happen, but God help me if this is going to happen. I wish not. I hope not. I don't like Biden too, but I hope Trump does not get a second term. But if Trump gets a second term, it will not be because of progressive. It will be because of the Karens who are afraid of systemic change,
That's right.
who want order rather than change, a systemic change. They will flock in numbers and vote for Biden, and you and I will be surprised on the 4th of November. And it would not be a shocker to me if that happens. Like I said, Trump should lose this election handily, but just in case he wins, it would not be because progressive didn't go out there and vote. It would be because Democrat, the Karens in the Democrat went out there and flocked to Trump because he serves their interests. Facts.
I say, Harut, I want I know that I saw you nodding your head there, and I wonder what you have to add on to that, because I think you got something to say on that one. What do you have to say as far as how basically, like, this has all been set up for Biden by the Karens of the world and by the moderate Republicans, and of course they're going to look to progressives to supposedly bail them out. I honestly feel like whether Trump loses, whether he wins or loses, I mean, whether Biden wins or loses, the fact of how they play things through the primary, I feel like it's kind of like every progressive has the right, or I don't consider myself a progressive. I'm just a flat out Marxist. So I honestly feel like we should be able to opt out. We literally said, this is what we want. We're coming with policies. No other group asked for policy specifics. No other group wanted policies. So I feel we shouldn't have to care at all. We're basically like, you guys already took the ball and went home. So what do you guys want us to do? What do you think?
Well, in terms of caring, I think that our focus should really be more local elections. I can't speak for any of your areas, but definitely in New York, I'm seeing a lot of progressive, not just progressive, like straight leftist candidates at every level. And to come out and support them, I think, is the best thing. But I think that we can't really rely on any of the parties in the two-party system. My goal in the long term is really just to create a new party, because the Democratic Party has shown that it doesn't want to change, and we can't really force it to change. I mean, Bernie ran twice, and each time, from the statistics that I saw for this go around, there was definitely voter suppression and voter fraud. So Well, I can't say definitely, but I'm inclined to say that there probably was.
I can say definitely.
Considering like a lot of people were disenfranchised, but especially people of color who didn't have polling places in their areas, who had to go out of their way or had to stand in line for hours just to vote. It's ridiculous. I don't like I think I feel the same way. I don't feel like I have anything invested in the presidential race right now. I think we have to work on creating a true leftist party, because I mean, we're not going to see that in the Democratic Party, and they're not going to let people. I don't feel like they're going to let someone like me in. Marcus, you're a Marxist. Like,
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
I pretty much align in the same ways, thinking like Marxist, socialist, communist kind of thing. So they're not going to let people like us in, as we saw with Bernie Sanders, who wasn't even really like in most places. If this in a place outside the United States, he'd be center left at best, and they weren't even letting him in. So why would they let leftists like us in?
Exactly. I was kind of, and that's kind of how I feel. What do you feel as far as some of the other third parties? Yeah, the Green Party right now. You have what, DSA. You have what, our people's party starting to build up. I mean, as far as the Black left is, any which one are any of those appealing to you, or do you think we should take a completely different approach?
Well, I do like the Green Party. I feel like what most people associate with the Green Party, though, is just environmentalism, which isn't true. They have a focus that is one that is that looks at economic issues. They look at all issues, but I feel like when a lot of people think of them, it is mostly based on environmental issues. I've been hearing a lot about the People's Party, and I've been trying to follow them a little bit more. I like that they're coming out of our revolution, but I'm wondering if that will limit them as well. I don't know if you've heard of like United Left. They're not really a party. They really focus on encouraging people to run as third party. But if you're from a state like mine, where third parties are starting to become
Illegal.
But there were new laws that essentially are keeping third parties out of our ballots.
Mm-hmm.
So they have certain limitations that they have to overcome. But I think it's possible they'll be able to overcome them. I think that eventually we have to look into looking at these groups and uniting them, because I think the problem that the left has is that there's a lot of sectarianism. Like, we focus on our differences more than we focus on the thing that unites us, which is leftist ideas and leftist politics. So I can say that I've seen it myself. DSA is also very great, but a lot of the time they're like trying to work within the Democratic Party and elect, or they endorse a lot of people running as Democrats, which, I mean, they do great work, but I feel like it's still relying on a party that doesn't really want us, if that makes sense.
I mean, I completely agree with you there. I mean, what I've been kind of thinking is, if there was a way to somehow start to get the leaders of some of these organizations to actually start talking, because we're not, I mean, the difference between a social democrat to a Marxist really isn't a lot. I mean, compared to the difference between a social democrat and a Democrat, you know. So I honestly feel like that is, I just don't understand why that can't, you know, come about. I mean, a lot of people have tried, I guess, before all of us, but I don't get it. I mean, I look at it as the Green Party in 2016. I want to say Jill Stein got somewhere around, I think, what, 2% of the vote, something like that. I'm pretty sure right now, with the numbers which DSA is starting to put up, if they yank their endorsements away from the Democratic Party and went for the Green Party and United Left, like you're talking about, if all of these groups actually did start to unite, you could at least get to that 5%, you know, that coveted 5% that we all want to get to. And I feel like that is the way that we actually can finally start forcing the Democrats to, to atone, because once you actually have a party which can, be a national party, then you can start to bring all these people who feel like there's no home for them, because I was in the Democratic Party, what is it, 20, 21, almost 22 years, and, loyally, campaigning with candidates, with out there door knocking, phone banking, doing whatever I could. And so this isn't somebody who's just, I'm not speaking from somebody who's just, I just want to go and kick the Democrats because I hate the Democrats. This is coming from somebody who was born and raised into the Democratic, Party. I come from a union family. My grandfather worked for the railroad for like almost 50 years. Kansas City, where I grew up, it was a very heavy manufacturing town, which was decimated by NAFTA. And when people say, "Oh, well, NAFTA's not that big of a deal," well, in the Midwest and places like that, it does matter. When you have, say, tens of thousands of people who are making, say, 50,000 a year, 60, 70,000 a year, and then that drops down to 25,000 or 30,000 a year, when you already have accrued 20, 30 years worth of living and life and debt, and you have kids and you have all these things going on, to have that yanked away, the Democratic Party, I don't feel they're connected to that real anger that's there for them and why there's so many people gone. And if we were able to build that third party, because I feel like if it got national, people will say, "Oh, well, it actually has a chance," and I think the numbers would start to swell. It's just a matter of getting to that 5%. What do you think, Blue?
I just want to I want to
Oh,
support
sorry.
what you're saying.
Uh-huh.
No, sorry. I just wanted to support what you're saying with what we're looking at now in terms of like participation in these parties. I think it was in 2016. The number of independent people registered as independent voters jumped from, I think, 40.
1 minute, I'll be right back.
47%. So we're looking at almost half of voters in this country don't identify with either party. So that's a ridiculously large amount of people that can be used or can be reached out to create a new party. And seeing that a lot of people are affected by the phenomenon that you were describing earlier, with union jobs going away, wages going down. I think that if people put in the work, it's something that could be, so it's something we could see in the future as a brand new party. The problem is the two parties that we have, although they may only have slightly more than half of voters registered as in their parties, they're going to do everything they can to stop that. See, it's one of the many problems that I see.
Sorry, guys.
Yeah.
No, you're good. Yeah, I mean, I completely agree with all those points. I mean, it is jarring, when you really think about how many people who just, I mean, not even talking about just the people who who don't vote, just the people who are not affiliated to a party. Which every single election, it's like, "Ooh, which one of these, which one of these people am I going to have to, lower myself for to vote for?" And
so I understand that.
yeah, I mean, so we'll speak about that. Being an independent and how you view, some of the things that maybe we should do or can do, towards building that third party.
Okay. Well, I guess I have two things. I guess number one, I have started to notice that the independent voter, the independent that's pretty much, tired of both two major parties, that number's getting significantly bigger. And, at some point, either policies and party rhetoric will have to start to change in both parties, or we're going to see like a third party show up from that independent party. I have no idea what it's going to look like particularly, but as an independent voter, it's just, I hear it all the time. It just seems like every 2 years or every 4 years or every 6 years, just seems to be the same song and dance that we seem to keep playing out over and over and over again. And as so there's that, and then there's the second thing. The second thing is that we are in a time of great systemic change where we need swift, radical change. And in my
Hello,
honest opinion,
somebody.
neither one of these parties has either the leadership nor the capability to really be able to bring forth that level of change. And there are various bunches of reasons as to
Because
why.
they have no moral this thing standing on the issues, both parties. Go ahead.
Right. They throw out they throw out scraps to the left and then wonder why the left doesn't show up, and then Democrats say screw it and try to appeal to the right. They just it just seems to be the same old. It seems to be the same old song and dance we see every single time, and it seems to be more of a systemic problem.
It is.
It is, right. It seems to be a systemic problem, and until that systemic problem can be held accountable, there's a couple of ways this is going to go, and all of them really aren't going to be good. And just this moment seems different from like all the other times I sat through. This is the moment where like we really need like real significant change, not just performative pieces from cops like kneeling or political officials kneeling for like 8 minutes. I mean, it just seems different, because I think like if this had happened like 4 years ago, that probably it feels like it probably would have worked. But now 4 years later, it just kind of seems like people want more. They want more. They're demanding more. And it goes past people protesting. It goes past people protesting in the streets. They're demanding immediate radical change. They're thinking critically about what's going on. They are not taking what the news and the celebrities and the corporations say at face value. They actually do like the time and the research to point out like, what was that one with, CBS was doing that whole Black Lives Matter thing, and someone tweeted up, you say Black Lives Matter, but you were out there letting the police arm themselves in your parking lot. CBS said that CBS did it. So, 4 years ago, you would never saw anybody make that type of like blatant call like that. So we're coming to a point where the systemic racism and white supremacy that's built into America has to be held accountable. And the Republicans were never going to be there. That's a given, right? They were never going to make it there. But the Democrats definitely got a long way to go. So honestly, I don't know what to tell you. But
and it's what. I'm going to kind of say a little theory that I have here.
Sure.
And then I'm going to tip this off for a question to Ruth, because she's in New York, and these people are in New York, so I specifically would love to hear her opinion, because I was watching the interview the other day, and it just really it kind of frustrated me. And it was just like one little thing they said in there that really frustrated me. So the thing what I was gonna say is Manuel, is that I feel like that the people in the streets, I feel like we all are saying with a united voice, enough is enough.
Yeah.
But our politicians still have not felt enough pressure and heat yet that they're going to react to it. What I believe they're doing is they are just trying to run out the clock. in
That's right.
trying to get to November.
Yeah.
Yep,
And their
that's it
mindset
feels
is,
that way.
if we can make it to November, we can pacify them as much as we can say this and say that and keep them calm. And then we start focusing it back on Trump, 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 Trump.
Yeah.
Then let's say Biden wins, Biden is in office. Their mindset is believing these protests are going to go away. We've already guys told you guys what we're going to do. And they're thinking that they're just going to kind of, all right, we'll let them have their fun and they can yell and scream in the streets. But watch, they're going to go back to their same position of not wanting to do anything, and it's going to be just like it's weird. I was protesting out in the streets, you know, trying to as an anti-war activist when I was with my group, uh, veterans against Iraq and Afghanistan, or veterans of Iraq and Afghanistan. We were out there, literally, I was out there one moment marching and trying to help Obama get elected, 2 months later being right out there marching with that and Occupy Wall Street. I was in Jacksonville, Florida at the time, and this is when I had my this is when I started to first run into Antifa and stuff like this, start, to meet some of these people. And we were down there in Hemming Plaza in Jacksonville, and Obama was perfectly fine with across the nation, all the cops using, extreme force, just like they're doing now, rubber bullets, tear gas. They were doing all the same things. Fast forward a little bit, so that's showing. They got Obama in there, supposedly the person who should help most of them, and campaigned on doing those things, who did not help. So their mindset is, we'll put Biden in there, we're not going to do anything, we'll be fine, they'll shut up, they'll be happy. We'll put a black VP in there, and that'll shut them all up. Well, you fast forward a little bit later on when you had the Trayvon Martin, and you had Jordan Davis, and I was there, and we were all I can't remember her name. I believe it's like Melissa Gilbert, or I can't remember her name right now. But anyway, her ex-husband was trying to get in her house, and she had restraining orders and everything, and she had a licensed firearm. She fired a warning shot into the ceiling. They ended up getting like 20 years in prison. A warning shot for a husband who's trying to get in the house and attack the children. And so we were out there protesting all of these things at the time. Obama still had no problem ignoring Black Lives Matter and kicking us in the teeth back then. I think the only thing that is going to make a change is that because more people are online and social media and able to connect and organize better, is the only way we're going to actually affect any change down the road. Now, my question to you is, this is kind of maybe it's just maybe I'm conspiracy theory right now, but I feel like all of these black entertainers who are all keep coming out and saying we want tangibles. And then some of them, I feel like they're throwing the fig leaf of saying we want criminal justice, we want reparations, we want this. I don't buy that they want any of that stuff. I feel like they're just throwing that in there to get a black female vice president. And I believe the number one pick they have in their mind is Kamala Harris or Stacey Abrams. And I think that's their whole tangible argument. Because you go back to the primaries, none of these people cared about anything. And the interview which I saw that aggravated me so much was Angela Rye, and somebody asked her, well, during the primaries, why didn't y'all ask for anything even under Obama? And they're like, well, we were just so happy we got a first black president. And I'm like, some of us cared about issues and policies and actually what was going on with our community, and didn't just care about a token for celebration. Some of us were actually wanting something real. And you're gonna actually shoot back at somebody arrogantly. We were happy we had our first black president. Yeah, and just because he got in office, that don't change nothing for none of us. So, I mean, sorry for going all over, but that was kind of my question. How do you feel about that?
The whole.
Well,
Were you asking me or Haru?
when I look at
Okay, she can go. I mean, I can.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
sorry. When you look at racism, like using race and using blackness as a way of separating people, you can't look at that without looking at it from a class perspective, especially considering how race was used to separate Black slaves from working class white people in the beginning of this country. For looking at the Bacon Rebellion, especially when this country was first founded, it was the unification. It was unifying Black slaves with white indentured service, fighting against a powerful plantation class. Now, after that rebellion, of course, when it died down, they started using Black slaves primarily and using their labor and giving poor whites, powers over them so that they would be invested in keeping the system as it was. So when I look at, the Black elite is what I'm going to call them, they benefit from the system the way it exists. They are wealthy. They are part of the elite. Now, they may not be seen as equal by the white elite. I don't know. I'm not in their heads, but they don't benefit from seeing the system break down. Now, the rest of us, on the other hand, do benefit from seeing the system dissolving and creating a new system that doesn't rely on systemic racism. But I don't see the Black elite as being the leaders of our community. I see the leaders as community organizers, as people who work within the community, who stayed in the community, who didn't get out as soon as they had a little bit of money to do so. I see we are the leaders of our communities, and I think I agree with you. I see them as a distraction because it's like the same ideas that are kind of being pushed on poor whites as well. You don't have money now, but you'll have it in the future. So why do you want to have to give it away when you have it? It's like it's exactly like poor whites who vote Republican. My dad always told me that people who vote Republicans are people who think they're going to be millionaires in the future, so they want to protect the money that they're never going to have. And it's kind of I kind of see them as like false prophets. They're selling something that we're never going to have. They're selling these lavish lifestyles. Like if you look at a lot of like music videos and things like that, they're selling this lifestyle that, of course, people want. They want to be comfortable. They want to not have to struggle. But at the same time, we don't have to have excessive amounts of wealth to do so. If there are people that have a lot, then there's going to be people that have very little. I don't know if that answered the full question.
No. That answered my question actually in a more deeper sense than I was asking for. I appreciate that. I would say, Sade, I know you got something to add to that. I said, Haru, I know you actually answered it in a much deeper way than I was expecting, so I appreciate that. Sade, I know you got something to say on that one.
I have a lot. I mean,
come on, give them the fire.
I don't know. I mean, I'm just I think by now, Black people or Black community, by now, we should be able to differentiate between leaders of communities and the elites of communities. Like the Clyburns, the guy from South Carolina, they are elitists of the community. Just because they're Black don't mean shit. Okay? They benefit from the system. The same system that is starving us, the same system that is killing us is the same system they benefited from. So why on earth do you think he's gonna want something that will systematically change in that community? They don't want it. Blackface means nothing. That's why, we were talking about this before everyone joined. Me and Marcus was talking about this same issue before all you guys joined. And I'm saying that until we recognize what we want, what actually do we want in the Black community? What do we want? Most of us know what we want, but are we ready to fight for what we want? But sometimes I don't see us fighting for what we want. We just follow. We keep following leaders. And until we stop following and going for agendas, we also, like Heru said, we also have to recognize that we need allies from different backgrounds. As long as they are for our agendas, because we do need them. We can't do this by ourselves. It's not like we can't form a community by ourselves, but we need these people so that they'll be like shields. Because no matter how we try to build ourselves, somebody will come in trying to destroy us. So we need genuine allies from different backgrounds in order to protect ourselves from these predators, because they're there.
It's good that you said that when you brought up that, like our allies being shields. This was something that this actually happened for me. Happened to me when I was in. We were protesting the whole Jordan Davis Davis shooting in Jacksonville. It literally happened like maybe 5 miles from my apartment at a gas station I used to go to. So I mean, that's when it really strikes home. It's like, wow, that just happened right around the corner. What the police did while we were protesting, and we were all completely peaceful, they started pushing us back from the area that we were at. And what they did was they pushed us back into a white supremacist rally who was counter protesting us, who were armed, who did have weapons and all kind of things like that. So they intentionally pushed us into those other protesters. And it was Antifa, who Trump considers is so evil. It was Antifa who jumped in our way and said, "You guys do it to us first." They were the ones who were out with bats, ready to fight them back, And so I personally have no problem with Antifa. I consider myself an anti-fascist anyway, so whatever, brand new Antifa if you want, but this, the way that the media tries to frame these things, the mask is coming off, and that's what I love about being able to set up platforms to be able to talk to great thinkers like all of you here.
And one more thing before I forget, I want us not to forget using the word abolish. We should keep using it because we know all we're gonna get. Even if we keep saying abolish these people, they're not gonna do it. So we keep using that word until we get the maximum of what we want.
I mean, definitely, I'm completely
because reform is nothing but a band-aid that will come off. And reform has done nothing for us.
It's something that I wanted to I was listening to a Dr. Claude Anderson, and to the viewers not familiar with him, I definitely recommend him. Great Black thought leader, and former politician and philosopher. He actually worked for President Carter back in the day. And he was talking about the protests which they had during the civil rights era as far as the busing. And his family, amongst a couple of other families, owned roughly about, he said it was a couple hundred buses, usually 300 to 500 buses that they owned. All black owned buses, black operated buses. And in his area in North Carolina, they didn't even have white buses in those areas. And so Martin Luther King and A. Philip Randolph and a couple of other leaders came down there, and they wanted to stage a protest, but they couldn't find any white buses. So they actually paid to have a white bus come in so that they could protest it just for the media. And it's like we're following some of these leaders. They might have some good philosophical, points to get across to us as messages, but we can't just follow like lemmings 100%. I mean, if you talk about the march on Washington, and the I Have a Dream speech, there's there's a speech which I feel every black person, I almost feel it's almost required for you to listen to the speech. It's called "The Bullet or the Ballot" by Malcolm X, and in that you literally could just swap out Dixiecrats for Republicans. I already said Democrats, but not much has changed from that time period. Especially, I'm talking about how we are thinking about these things and how we are strategically handling them and going after them. We're getting out there, and I'm happy for all of our young activists who are out in the streets who are starting to really get concrete messages, because that's what we need. You go back to a lot of our leaders, especially after the civil rights era, when most of them were kind of gone, the 60s and 70s. What did we have? Nothing. We had nobody who stepped up. And that's the reason why things have continued to go this way, because nobody's decided to step up. And I guess the mind-boggling thing for me in today is that we are our very elders, who we're all taught to respect our elders. We're all taught to cherish the wisdom that they give us. And yet, when you look back in the time, you realize when it came to fighting for the things we needed them to fight for, our elders were nowhere around. And now, still now, when we had opportunities to try to help ourselves through, various different candidates. I mean, like I think back to, what was it, Keith Ellison, when he was going for DNC chair. There was no black outrage when Obama just walked in and screwed him over. And it's like, we can't sit there and this older generation wants to wait until we have a nominee, and then they say, okay, well, let's pay attention to stuff. Okay, they say they support this, they say they support that. Okay, yeah, he was cool with Obama. All right, done. These people cannot be the ones who keep telling us how things need to go. I mean, and if it has to be, I know it's uncomfortable because a lot of these people are in our families that we are dealing with who don't want to listen. And whether we have to do it, whether you have to do it by always the tap on the shoulder, excuse me, tiptoeing the information in, or do you have to have the verbal knockdown dragouts continuously? I feel that's the only way we can change this thing. Because if you think about it, like me and Sade were talking about earlier with South Carolina, 74% of that vote, of the black vote, swung all on Clyburn, swung all on a man who's been nothing but a sellout since he's got elected. In fact, his selling out is what got him elected, because he sold out from the civil rights, era. And the same thing with a John Lewis also. Even if you go back to Malcolm X, he even trashes John Lewis. I mean, so these same people that we're still listening to, these same people, at some point, we almost have to have like a violent takeover from our elders and tell them, no, you're going to sit down and this is how it's going to be. I don't know. Maybe I'm too far out there. What do y'all think?
Manuel.
What do you think?
No, when Clyburn and Lewis came out, for the police,
Yeah.
it was just one of those, like, you know what, we need to have a talk. We need to just be able to, we need to sit down and hash this out because there's something about this moment that you're not getting. And I don't, maybe, uh, maybe it's hard to explain, or maybe I need a slideshow or something like that. But like, there's just something about it that you're not getting, and you know, it's hard, and it's really hard because they're not, because some of these elders, you know, they're not just, you know, they're legends, right? They did something legendary,
Get in my
and
charger.
that power and that influence, you know, it can, it can change, given time, it can change people. And I can see that happening to a lot of people, not just them. Sometimes you get older and you forget, you forget how tough it is. You forget how hard it was, and you lose perspective. And I feel better about my generation and subsequent generations after, the younger generation, that we're open-minded enough to realize that change is immediate. Change is consistent and ongoing. It's not like it's going to happen like every 5 years or every 10 years or something like that. It's almost like every 6 months. I think it's like almost every 6 months or like a month now that the world constantly keeps changing. So, but yeah, when they did that, that was definitely a we need to have a talk moment.
And that's the reason.
That's not gonna work.
And that's the reason why I want to have y'all. That's the reason why I want to have this panel regularly, for those specific things, because that's the only way that we can start to really make people see what's going on. If they see example after example after example after example, and it's put in their face where they have to see it. For instance, if we're sitting up there and Clyburn does something that week and we bring it up and we talk about it, if it's Bobby Rush is doing something that week, if it's Charlemagne that we need to call out that week,
Yeah.
Whoever it is in the black community, we need to start that war needs to be. It's kind of the same thing that we're dealing with on the overall political side. What we're fighting with the mainstream media, it's the same battle that we're fighting. We have to tit for tat always be trying to, what's the word? We got to always be fact checking them. We got to always be, on top of them. We got to always be putting pressure, and it has to be the same approach, I feel, with our own community. I mean, you think about it, if South Carolina swung the election for the most part, and then Super Tuesday, and then it was over, and that was black voters. Black voters are the ones who, once they're on board, everybody else jumps on the bandwagon. And so we need to control the bandwagon in the first place so that we have people jumping onto the right bandwagon. I mean, I guess that's my thoughts on it. I don't want to run you guys too long. You guys have any closing thoughts that you guys want to say, or any kind of things that you want to talk about, that you have upcoming projects, or anything else that you have got going on? The floor is yours. I guess anybody, whoever wants to start.
I can start. I don't have anything really going on.
Yes, you do.
Anybody that wants to follow me can.
Yes, he does. He's lying. He has a show, the political matrix, that he is doing. Yes, he has a show.
The Political Matrix. I have the show Political Matrix. We're about to get started filming our first episode. I expect good things. It's an honest concept. Like that.
I'm just playing with you. I'm just playing with you. Um, uh, See, Haru, what you got going on and are coming up in the future?
I'm sorry, could you repeat that?
Oh, what do you have upcoming and going on coming future? Oh, did you hear me?
I don't think she heard.
I couldn't hear you that time.
Oh, I said
Hello?
what projects do you have coming up?
Oh, project am I working
Mm-hmm.
on?
Yes.
I was just working on a research project. It was looking into organizing amongst Black Americans and Black ethnics and seeing if there's any like issues that may keep them from organizing seamlessly. And um, I did some interviews with some organizers, and I'm realizing a lot of the separation that is created between the two groups is mostly caused by I don't want to say white outsiders. I don't have enough data to support that, but from what I'm seeing, like we don't really cause separation amongst ourselves. It's kind of brought down us by like white politicians, white hegemony as a whole. I definitely need to um, do more interviews to support that, but that's what I'm kind of finding right now.
Mm-hmm.
Um, that's really it. That's essentially the basis of the work that I want to do. And then right now I'm more looking into doing more statewide organizing. Um, there's a lot of separation between downstate and upstate in terms of like um, not just in terms of like organizing as a whole, but especially political organizing. Like both upstate New York and downstate New York kind of blame each other for their problems, when in reality they have similar problems that they can work together and help to fix. So that's kind of what I've been focusing on. I hope that, yeah.
All right. Well, I'll be checking in and seeing what how that's going with you. Hopefully you'll update us next time when you're back. Hopefully back next week. Can you make it? Can you make next week? I'm putting you guys all on it. Everybody free next weekend? Cause yeah,
Yes.
I'd rather get this same panel going and then we'll just pick up where we left off on Sunday next Sunday. Um, oh, Sade, what do you have going on? What do you want to leave us with?
Nothing. I'm just a broken piece progressive right now. I have nothing going on. I don't know. I'm just broken at this point. I'm very disappointed, but I'll get up. I'll get up. But right now I have nothing going on, and we just keep fighting, I guess,
Yes,
until we
yes,
get
we
what
do.
we want.
Yeah, I mean that's all you can do. I definitely understand that feeling of feeling a little, broken and feeling
Yeah,
definitely
I'm a little
disappointed.
broken. I'm not a
Um,
kid, so
I didn't. I mean, you know, I mean disclosure to the audience who don't know. We were both Bernie supporters, so I'm not sure Blue and Farouk, if you guys were Bernie supporters also and felt the same kind of disappointment that we all felt when he left the race, or just like the last couple of months of the race, how it's went, and kind of the state that we're in, dealing with. We're going to be stuck with either Trump or Biden for the next 4 years, and it is a little frustrating. And what I have, how I've kind of internalized it, I guess, a little. I don't know. Maybe this help. Maybe it won't help. But I think that unfortunately things are going to get worse. And I'm sorry, it's probably going to be a bad news, good news kind of thing. Things are going to get worse. But, as things continuously get worse with either of those, people, and the situation gets worse just in general on the streets and starts to devolve because I don't think that they're coupling, the magnitude of now. with the whole protest, with the whole COVID-19 stuff, with all the people who are out of work and the unemployment rates. I don't think they're really. I think that they're trying to look at one issue, and even when they're trying to look at that one issue, they're not looking at it properly. So they're not seeing all of these, mountains of problems that are all going to arise at the same time. Um, and I feel like that frustration, that clash that you're going to have of all of those things happening are going to force a positive change. Um, me and Sade were talking about it earlier about what was it I can't remember the term which I was saying accelerationist theory, and that theory is basically sometimes things have to get worse to get better, and I feel a lot of people in our society don't feel touched and affected by enough of these issues. And as they get more touched, then they will start to understand and join our fight. And I fear that that's the only way that the things are actually going to really, start to make a difference as more people understand. And normally, understanding, most people have to learn it and experience to learn from. So, I guess that's that was a very fun discussion. I thank you all for joining me today. Um, very, very, very great takes from everybody, and I look forward to having you guys all back. Um, I for the audience, myself and Blue, we are working on a show, the political matrix, and we are going to talk about the system. It is going to be a little bit different than the typical political show. Uh, it'll give me a way to step out from my normal channel that I have here, talking straight news, and you getting all my raw emotions, to pragmatically thinking about the overall structure of this entire system, how it's built, all the controls that hold us, how they use these controls, and how they leverage power for people to, do their means. How there's no difference really from the real matrix to the political matrix that we live in. And we're going to explain those differences. And if you are an open mind who is looking for that knowledge, please, please tune into that. If you are already free to mind and you want to get more engaged in the fight, please tune in. And my panelists, which I have on here, I will be hopefully trying to get some of them, get them. Well, Blue's already going to be in, but I definitely want to get the both of them in there so that they can be able to help break down some of these things also for you. There's just the system is so massive that I don't feel only two people can really talk about it. So I will be bringing on some of these other experts, as I consider them, to talk about these issues. I have a couple of podcasts coming also soon. Please, I will give you guys more info on that, and then also tune into my other show, The Annihilation Cage, with Niall Elcom and Alyssa Vieira. So, with that, all that said, please make sure to follow us all on Twitter. I will put our handles. I'll put our handles in the link down below. Make sure you guys are all continuing the fight, and don't give up the hope. That's all I have. See you guys later. Thank you.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you. See you next week.
Yeah, it was
Alrighty.
nice meeting all of you.
Yeah. Thank you.